This is the BMW i3. There is a lot to talk about this wacky and quite wonderful subcompact electrified vehicle. So we have to jump inside and get driving right away so I can break down and share with you everything that you need to know about this i3. Just getting into this car, turning on the engine or the battery pack and driving away is totally different to so many other cars on the market today. For example, the door handles open the wrong way. When you open it up, you can see that there isn't a B pillar at all. And to start the car, you have this chunky knob here on the steering column where you've got your stop start, and then you push this teardrop shape away to engage drive. The BMW i3 is really unlike any other car on the road today. There's two variations that you can get currently. You have the i3 and the i3S. As the S would suggest, this is the more sporty car. It has a sport dedicated mode, it has wider tires, wider arches, and a slightly different look overall. But from there, with the regular i3, you have another two variations. You have a fully electric version of the i3 that comes with a 42.2 kilowatt hour lithium-ion battery pack, or you have that version with a range extender, and that is a two-cylinder generator that sits underneath the floor space, and this is what this car has here. It's 647cc, actually coming out of one of BMW's motorbikes, and although you'll hear it rumble around back there when you're out of electric charge, it doesn't actually create power to put to the wheels. It creates electricity, and then that electricity is sent to the electric motor that will go through the rear wheels. The i3 is a rear-engined, rear-wheel drive car, which beyond something like a Porsche 911, I think is perhaps one of the only cars on sale today in North America that like that. The range extender produces 38 horsepower to generate the electricity, but the electric motor itself is actually capable of producing 170 horsepower and 185 pound-feet of torque. Now, the i3 might have a wacky and wild exterior and interior design, but the construction of this thing is just as weird and wonderful. It's got a rolling chassis platform, so the battery pack and the wheels could roll away and the body can sit on top, and the body is made out of carbon fiber reinforced plastic, a first for a mass-produced car. If you're someone that's familiar with hybrids, plug-in hybrids, or pure electric vehicles, the i3 isn't going to be too wild of a difference to you. It has the regenerative braking system, which as soon as you let off the throttle, the car starts slowing down and puts a little bit of juice into the battery pack. And if you're using a normal household charging, the same thing that you would plug any other household appliance into, you're looking at about a 12-hour charge time. Plugging it into a 22 kilowatt socket, like what you would for your laundry dryer, should take about 4 hours. And then if you plug it into one of the fast chargers that you'll see at the Calgary BMW dealership, from 0 to 100 should take about 2 hours. The interior has some materials you won't find anywhere else. For example, this strange looking sort of fibrous material that's all across the front of the dashboard and here in the door cards is actually made out of recycled fibers. The fabric is high quality and the leather is a leatherette, but this might be the most convincing version of a leatherette posing as a real leather that I've ever seen. There's aspects of this car that if you're familiar to any other BMW, you'll recognize here, like the iDrive control down here with the trace for letter inputs, the 10-inch screen right in front of you. It's not a touch screen at all, and it's kind of good that it is because it's quite a distance away. So the iDrive button interface falls very easily to hand. It's quick off the line, it's darty, and it has really thin tires. But despite that, I have no issue with grip at all, even when it was snowing a little earlier today. And as the i3 is built to be more sort of a city car, the turning radius is outrageously tight. But if you're getting into, let's say, the current 3 Series, a car that's actually not too far away from the price of this car, you feel like you're in totally different brands when it comes to material quality. The steering wheel is made out of a hard plastic, and there's a lot of the sort of grainy hard plastics throughout the car that you'd find in a Toyota or a Ford or any sort of entry-level economy class car. But there are certainly some aspects that feel great to the touch, like you have the fabric inserts on the door cards and on the seats where you rest your arms is a nice leather. I really would like to have the steering wheel in a leather wrapped and have it heated as well, but that currently isn't available. The driving position is certainly higher than what you would find in a hatchback or a sedan, but not as high as a subcompact crossover, so it sits comfortably between a BMW 3 Series and an X3. This gorgeous interior is unlike anything else still on the market. The screen is floating, you can put your hand all the way underneath. You've got a flat floor up front, making space very accommodable for people's legs. There's a little elastic strap down there too, and you have a detachable cup holder where you've got 3 spots here in front of the fixed cup holder, and then another spot here in this open center console. This tiny screen shows when the battery pack is charging or delivering power. For being quite a slab-sided vehicle, the wind can really bully this car when you go on long highway drives, and I don't know why BMW had to make this car with frameless doors, as a lot of wind gets caught around here and just behind you on this half suicide door. The seats don't look all that supportive. They actually look quite flat, but you sit quite deep into them, and there's just a slight curve to these side bolsters here. So on a long highway cruise, I'm actually fairly comfortable. I can lower the seat down quite a bit with this manual adjustment, and I can stretch out easily because of all of this leg space I have. The dashboard itself is massive, and you don't actually see much of the bonnet at all. Whenever you turn it, more sort of feels like the wheels are behind you, just because it has a very quick to react steering system. This is actually the first time I've driven a car with a 2-spoke steering wheel, and I thought I wasn't going to like it, but it just adds another element of the character of the i3. Despite feeling quite foreign getting behind the wheel of the i3, it isn't at all a challenge to drive. The rear visibility is fairly good. You could definitely have a larger window back there, and perhaps the base of these A-pillars are a bit too thick. Again, if you're familiar with any sort of electric or hybridized car, the regenerative braking system isn't going to be strange to you, but from my experience so far, it feels a little more aggressive than other systems I've come across, like in the latest Teslas, and there doesn't seem a way to limit that regenerative system. The i3 has 3 different driving modes. You have Comfort, Eco Pro, and Eco Pro Plus. Comfort is just driving around haphazardly, and you're not really giving too much attention to the efficiency of the vehicle. Perhaps you're just going on a very short trip. In Eco Pro, you'll have some of the systems limited, and you won't be able to go faster than 130 kilometers an hour. And then in Eco Pro Plus, it will shut down the climate control system entirely and limit you to 90 kilometers an hour. That is for like skin of your teeth, really not sure you're going to make it. And you see it lights up here in this space just by your climate control system. There's no dual zone climate control system, but it is nice that we have heated front seats. This dial here that you use to control the cabin temperature is a lot like what you would see in a modern Jag product, where you have the temperature reading inside, and also in there you can see where fans are blowing. This is probably an aspect where, if you are used to a modern BMW, this might feel of lesser quality than those cars. You see how much it moves around in its housing here. So here's getting away in silent mode, and now if I put a little more power, you can now hear the generator kick in. When you're traveling at slower speeds and you have absolutely no charge left in your battery, the generator definitely has a fair amount of rattle to it. Really not refined at all, and it only comes with a 9-litre fuel tank. And what I've discovered is I got this car with a full charge, but it only had about 40 kilometers of gasoline range. So I went down to the gas station and I tried to fill it up, but the problem is the gas tank is so small and the pipes leading into it are so short that the nozzle kept on turning itself off because the gasoline couldn't flow down into the tank. So you're left there sort of pumping away on the nozzle to try and just put fuel into the car. And if you're a new owner of an i3, you might find it a little odd that BMW doesn't actually highlight here by the gas reader where the gas fuel door and the electric door are. They're both on the right-hand side of the car. But when I first got into this car and had to go fill it up, I truly had no idea where this car was. So why don't you just put a little arrow there, BMW? That would be the easiest thing in the world, surely. Another wacky detail of the i3 is that it has suicide doors. You really don't see this in the industry much these days. Beyond Rolls-Royce, is there anybody else that does a suicide door? Well, maybe Ford with their F-150s, but irrespective. With this car, if you're in the back seat, they're pretty tight back there. Anybody my sort of size, 6-footers and above, probably won't want to be back there for very long. The rear seats are likely reserved for shorter individuals, and I don't think they're going to feel cramped as such, but you're going to have to rely on a lot of the front row inputs to be comfortable back there. You don't have much for vent controls, much for storage, and you can't lower those rear windows either. But the front seats have a little bit of an indent where you could point your knees into, and that flexes, so that could give you a little more room, but you would quickly annoy the driver and front row passenger, as there's a significant amount of flex that you can see it push the seat backwards and forwards slightly. Those two seats can fold down flat, and if you open up the trunk, you have a flat floor that would be practical enough, but you can't lift up that space where the boot lid is, as that's where your generator lives. So there isn't an available space to throw away your security cover. Having this split sunroof doesn't make much sense to me. You have this component here that separates the driver's sunshade and the passenger's sunshade, but it is one piece. You open it up as you would any other sunroof, and it's one component. So why did it have to be split? So that's everything I think you need to know about the BMW i3. Now, to summarize my thoughts, if you're looking for probably the most unique car on the road, I don't think you need to stray further than this i3. It probably isn't for everybody. It's got a short electric and fuel range, so if you are someone that takes a lot of long highway journeys, this might be a little bit of a difficult car to live with. And if you're spending this sort of money on a new BMW, I know that you can get in cars similar priced, more conventionally built, that feel more up to the standard of the quality and the materials that you would expect to buy into. But there truly isn't anything like the i3. It's brilliant to look at, fun to introduce to people, and it's got all of these characteristics that you'll find in many other electric cars that as soon as you get into a conventional gasoline car, you wish those components could carry over into that car too. But saying all of that, the i3 is a car that needs to be test driven to reveal how well it will or will not work in your life. So that's been everything from me. Thank you so much for taking the time to watching this video, and many thanks have to go off to the Dilawri Group and the BMW branch of car dealerships in Calgary. They're the ones that lent this i3 off to me for a couple of days. All of their information is linked down below. Be sure to check them out and any of the Dilawri branded dealerships across the country with the information linked down below. Please like the video if you liked it, share it if you think other people will like it too, and if you want to hit that subscribe button just down below, that does the world for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.